Hey folks, welcome along to my video review for Logo Package Express version 2. I'm a massive fan of Logo Package Express. I've been using version 1 for quite some time and it saves me a lot of time when it comes to exporting my logos for my clients. What used to take me an hour, sometimes longer, I can now do in around about 5 minutes. So it's a really integral part of my logo design process these days. I was really excited to hear that version 2 was coming out and it had 10 significant updates, many of which have been on my wish list since I've been using version 1. So I'd like to take you through this today, show you how it works and show you what those updates are. Make sure you watch to the end of the video because I will have a special discount offer for you if you are new to Logo Package Express. Let's jump over to Illustrator and I'll show you how it works. Okay, so I'm not going to go through the install process for LPE v2. It's really straightforward. Once you get the download files, it's self-explanatory. So once you have it installed, what you need to do is you need to go to Window, Extensions, Logo Package Express and click that. And the user interface for LPE v2 will open inside Illustrator. One of the first things that you'll notice if you are an existing user is that whilst you go through the process, there are main action buttons and these would sometimes appear at the bottom and sometimes appear sort of in this middle area of the interface. That's all been refined and all of the major action buttons will now appear down here at the bottom. So that gives a bit of consistency whilst we're working through Logo Package Express. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to set your logo. You need to let LPE know what your logo is. So we select the logo that we want and then we hit set logo. And LPE will run through the logo file and set that up for us. Okay, so here we go. It's set up the master logo artwork in CMYK format for me, which is because it was a CMYK file. What I then need to do is I need to specify each of the elements of the logo. So we have the logo mark, then we have the logo type, and we have our tagline. So these are now all set in here. And then I'm going to click Make Print Logos. So we now have all of the different artboards with all of the different variations of our logo. We've got it with the tagline. We've got just the logo type with the tagline on its own, and then we have the options where there is no tagline in there. So now that we have all of these on the board, I want to take us through all of the settings that we now have access to in LPE v2. And there's a few updates that I want to run through here with you. So the first thing that you'll notice is that we now have the option to export a JPEG print file. So that would be a JPEG file, which is CMYK. Over on the other side, we've got the usual AI, SVG, PNG, and JPEG files for web. Just for me personally, I don't provide my clients with AI file for web, and I do like to have an EPS version of my vector. So those are the settings that I will generally use when I'm choosing the file types to export. Next up, we have naming. So we had very little control over how files were named on the export. You would have to go through and rename the folders afterwards if you wanted to, or change any conventions. So here we can change it from dashes to underscore to spaces, and we can have lowercase or uppercase, and that's for files. And for folder naming, we have the same options. You can see here. Now there's a bit here that says naming presets. We'll get to that shortly. Further down, we've got the different components. So we've got logo, logo mark, tagline, logo type, and then we've got color schemes, full color or one color, etc. Now, one thing which I do always change after I've exported my logos in version 1 is that for one color, which is this one here, and reverse, which is that one just below it, I actually prefer to have those named as black and white. So all you need to do is you choose the field next to the one which is referenced, so one color, and I want to change that to black. So if I type in black and hit enter, it changes it on the fly. So you can now see up on the artboards that that's now changed to black. And if I change the one below and hit enter, that now changes to white. So now when the files are exported, it will have the client name and black, client name white. And it means I don't have to go in afterwards and manually rename all of the files, which was a bit of a pain. So this is going to save me even more time than I used to have to spend previously. And you can do that for everything down here. Another option might be you may want to use the term word mark instead of logo type, so you can change that, and you can see now that that's now changed to word mark with tagline, and over here we've got word mark written above those sets of artboards there. But I'm just going to keep that as logo type, so just delete it, hit enter, and it will reset to the way that it was before. Next up, we've got scale. This is a great one as well. I like to give my clients multiple scale versions of, especially web logos, multiple sizes of PNG versions of their logo to fit different situations online. If you give them one large version and then they upload that and it's automatically resized but by whichever software, WordPress or whatever, sometimes it's not optimized very well and it can look a bit crap, especially if it's gone down to smaller sizes and it's a bit jagged and the text can look a bit weird. So I like to try and give us a set of logos which are kind of better suited to certain specific size areas. So for example, I like to give PNG files at 600px, 400 and 200. So what I would have to do is I would basically create versions in Photoshop and save out different sizes rather than it being one specific size. Here I can just click on add scale, type in 400, hit return, add scale, and 200, hit return. I now have 3 different file format sizes that will be exported. If I wanted to, I could have the 600px one at 300 ppi or 144 ppi. This is where LPE v2 will help you compared to Illustrator. Illustrator will let you export either by dimensions or by resolution. It won't let you do both. But in LPE v2, you will be able to specify the dimensions and the resolution of the web files, which can be great for certain situations. And you can also give different scales on print sizes as well. So I could put a second one in here. So maybe I want to have one size, 300 ppi, 600 pixels, but I also want to have one which is in a set amount of millimeters. So I could say 150 millimeters and have that exported as well. And now we can move into the presets. So you can see here we've got scale presets. Over here we had naming presets. Be the same sort of thing. So what you can do is once you've set these up, if these are something you will use all the time, you can actually save a preset. So I could say calls preset 1 and hit save. And that's now in there. If I want to do a second preset, maybe this one I want to actually be 325, and that's for a specific client maybe. I can add a new preset and call that client preset and save that. And now what I can do is I can just quickly jump between the different presets that I've got on there. If you find that you don't need a preset anymore, all you do is you go to Manage Presets, just select the presets that you want to delete. Just click on them to delete or to select and unselect, and then just click delete, and then you will be left with that. And what you can also do is you can be inside a preset and you can actually add, let's say we added another scale of 100 and I needed that to export for a specific client. What you can then do is you can then go back and reset the current preset, and it will reset it back to the way it was. And you can do that for naming as well. You can set up multiple file naming presets depending on what you need to do with that. So this is going to be really useful, especially the fact that you can choose between millimeters and centimeters, inches, etc. for all of these and set up lots of different options for different situations. Really, really excited about that. That's going to make a big difference for me. And another thing is padding. To add padding in around your logos for your exported files previously, it was a bit of a faff to do. I actually felt like it was more of a hack than anything else, and it wasn't really intuitive. And so being able to do this here is going to be really useful. If you gave a client your logo file without any padding, and they're not really that technically minded or layout minded, which many aren't, they may drop their logo into something and they may have text and images butting right up against that logo, and it's not going to look great. Your logo needs to have space around it. So what we can do now is we can actually apply the padding before we export, so that when the client gets the logo, the padding is already applied and they don't need to worry about anything kind of getting too close to the logo when they drop it into some layouts. So all you do is, again, we can choose pixels, points, millimeters, centimeters, inches, or picas for our padding. So let's say I want 50 pixels all the way around. I just type in 50, and you can see there all the artboards changed to include all of that padding. But let's say I want different padding on each side, then you just click in the middle and unlink all of these settings, and let's say I just want 25 left and right, then I just put in 25 on each side, and you can see again the artboards have changed sizes. That is another thing that was on my wish list, and so I'm so happy to see that in here. It really is going to make my life so much easier and make my clients' lives easier as well for using the logo files. And then lastly, we've got the color one. So before I quickly go through that, I just want to mention as well that we now have inverted Pantone coated and inverted Pantone uncoated as export options. These were not available in version 1. These are new for version 2. First thing we have in the color palette is we've got include Pantone conversion, coated, uncoated, and then we have automatic and manual. So automatic means that Logo Package Express will look at the CMYK values and it will choose from the Illustrator Pantone book the closest Pantone match. So it will automatically choose a Pantone that fits closest to your CMYK. If you choose manual, and you need to choose this before you set up your artboards, when you make the logo files, it will bring up a dialog box that says, hey, you've chosen to set your Pantone colors manually. And then what you do is you then go into your Pantone boards, and you will select the element that you need to, and from your swatches panel you will select the Pantones that you want to specify. So if you've got Pantone books, for example, actual physical books, then you may have chosen Pantones from there, and you can specify the Pantone colors that you want to. Now what I will mention as well is that something which has been introduced to LPE v2 is a Pantone first color conversion, and we will touch on that. I will show you that once we've wound up this part here. I will show you what happens when you start with a Pantone colored logo file. Okay, so we'll get to that shortly. The next bit down is inversion. So set on automatic, what the inversion system does is it keeps your logo mark in color, and then everything else will be changed to white. That's how the inversion setup works there. If you want to have it so that other elements stay in color, then you can change that to manual, and you can use this slider to set the value where colors will change to white or not. Now this is something that you'll probably have to play around with because it is based on a color value. It's not a specific, only change greens, only change blues. It's the value of the color. So you may have to test this out yourself just to see what are the best settings for you. Oh, one thing I should mention as well is that let's say you go through, go to all the bother of setting all the things up and you don't save presets or anything. If you quit out of Logo Package Express, when you start it up next time, it will remember the values you had set last time. It doesn't reset it all. So if you do think, oh, I should have saved a preset or whatever, you can start it up again and you can save any presets that you had set, the preset you had set there last time, so that you can use it for future exports for you. Okay, so let's take a look at this Pantone color first workflow as well. So I'm going to just close this because I don't need this anymore. And then what we need to do is we need to click on the little reset button here. And if I click on that, that sets Logo Package Express back to the first screen. All of the settings that I'd set previously, they're all still going to be there, my padding, etc. So you'll notice when we make the logo files for this Pantone version, the padding that I'd set previously will be applied to this. So I want to check my settings. So I want to check color. So we want that to be automatic. Okay, that's all fine. I want that to be automatic. And I'll just leave everything else there. You can see there that there's a warning that I have to set a logo before I can change scale settings. That's fine. Okay, so this is the CMYK version. You can see here I had CMYK, and I have a Pantone version. I have Pantone 225 for the pink, and I have Pantone 801 for the blue. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to click Set Logo, and we go through the same process that we did previously. Set the Master Logo Artwork. Now don't worry that it says Master Logo Artwork CMYK. We'll get to that in a minute. What we need to do is we need to set our logo mark. Set the logo type and set our tagline. Now it says Master Logo Artwork CMYK because we still need CMYK versions of our files. But where this will be different is that once we make our print logos, you can see here that it's kept the 225 and the 801. In the previous version, the Pantone colors were not the colors I had specified for my logo. It had chosen approximate versions which it thought matched the CMYK. I might want a Pantone which is the other side of a blue compared to what this thinks I want. So having a Pantone first, where it basically makes sure it locks in the Pantone colors that you want specified, is a good way to do it. There's a couple of caveats that I must mention. When it's doing the conversions, it's using the default Pantone swatch library in Illustrator, which, I'll be honest, is quite old now. There are something like an extra 825 colors in the Pantone solid coated range that are in the newest Pantone books but are not in the default swatch library in Illustrator. You can update your color books in Illustrator to V4, but at this moment in time, Logo Package Express utilizes the default. So if you have a Pantone color in your original logo, which has been specified from one of the newer books, it won't come across. What will happen is that the Logo Package Express will change that Pantone color to the closest one from the original book. So if you're using Pantone colors which are not from the default, then you're better to stick to the manual option and specify the colors manually. If you're using older colors, then it won't be a problem. So just make sure that you're aware of that. So with Pantones, there is still a bit of, a little bit of manual work to be done there. But if you're working with Pantones, then it won't be an issue for you. You know how to specify Pantone colors. It takes literally 10 seconds. All you do is you highlight it, you set the Pantone color it should be, and that's it. Okay, so once you've got your colors all set and your padding all set, it's time to export your files into your logo package. If there are some artboards you do not need as logo files, so for example, I very rarely export the inverted versions. All you need to do is just select all of the content on those artboards. Let's move this out of the way. And delete them, and that means that Logo Package Express will not export those as artwork files. I also don't need the tagline, so I'm going to delete those as well. Next thing you need to do is you click on Export Print Logos. You then give it a client name and you choose where you want it to go. These are all in the right places, and then you click Create Logo Package. And what it'll do is it will run through all of the artboards, creating all of the different logo files, and it will be putting all of them into the correct folder inside the folder that I specified. So it will have all of the correct naming conventions and everything all set, ready to pass on to your client. So it says there that it gives me a little congratulations, you're done with print logos. So let's just have a quick look at the folder. Okay, so here's the folder. You can see here we've got logo, logo mark, logo type with tagline, and logo with tagline. If we go into logo, we've got the black version, full color, grayscale and white. If you go into black, we've got print, we've got CMYK here. And if you go full color, we've got print, and we've got CMYK plus Pantone coated and Pantone uncoated. What we don't have at the minute is we don't have web versions. So what we do is we go further forward and we click Make With. And what it does is it sets up the boards again with the different logo layouts. I don't need the tagline. I don't want the inverted versions. I don't want the grayscale versions for web, but I want everything else. And then I'll click Export Web Logos. It's going to the same place. Create Logo Package. Works its way through all of the artboards. Okay, so that took about 40 seconds or so, much quicker than me having to do all of that manually. Now if we go back into our folders and we go back into logo, if we go back into full color, you'll now see we have a digital folder. If we go inside the digital folder, you can see here we've got 200px, 400, 400, 600 and 600 of each of the PNG and the JPEG, and we've got our SVG file as well as for our vector version on web pages, etc. And we will have that, we'll have digital versions for all of the different versions of our logo. And essentially that is how Logo Package Express works. Obviously that's taken, a while to go through and explain that to you, and I've had to explain a few different things. If you were using this as part of a job process, you can see how quickly it is to set the logo, change some settings that you need to, and export your files. It's over in a flash. Okay, so how much is this then? How much is Logo Package Express? Well, Logo Package Express is $119. Now, if you are a logo designer and you are creating multiple logos for clients, you will cover that cost in absolutely no time at all. As a tool for part of your work process, then really that is a drop in the ocean, and it really is something that you should invest in. If you are an existing version 1 user of Logo Package Express, then the upgrade cost for you is a measly $20 to upgrade to something which has been improved massively, in my opinion, over version 1, and $20 for the extras which are now included, I think is more than worth it. Now, for anyone who is new to Logo Package Express, I do have a discount link which you can use, which will get you $20 off of the price, bringing it down to $99. The link for that is pixels.inc/LPE20, and you should see that on the screen now. If you go there, you will get $20 off of the price of Logo Package Express version 2. I hope you find this useful. Please let me know if you are an existing Logo Package Express user, and if you are going to upgrade to version 2, and if you are new and you have just used it or just started to use it, let me know how it's helped your process. Has it sped it up by a lot? I'd imagine it has, because I know it did for me. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Give this video a thumbs up if you've liked it. And until I see you next time, stay creative, folks.